Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. Oh, yes. Hello, hello, hello. We are live. Gil, are you there? Oh, Gil, are you there? Oh,
Yeah, I'm here. What?
okay. All right. I'm just, just making sure. No need.
Sorry, I'm still a bit of shook from last night or last week's show
There's no need
with all the swerves.
There's no need to give me a Marshawn Lynch right now.
If I remember what happened during that game, I actually was stuck in snow for that.
I was playing Donkey Kong Country and failing miserably.
Did King K. Rool jump on you?
He killed me about 60 times. Right, Jarek? If you're here, listening live right now? Okay, so this is Zombie Talk Podcast number 9, and we're here with a very special guest, who I don't believe, was he ever on D&G?
He may have been, but if he was on the Grem version.
Special guest, were you ever on the GNGs, ever?
I believe I was on one of them a few years ago.
Okay. So, special guest, why don't you introduce yourself to the podcast audience?
I am the very infamous Mike Metal.
Mike Merrill is here with us tonight on number 9. And Zombie Talk, terrible name? Yes, no?
I think that WWE has come up with worse.
Okay. I will take that as a rent it on Steam. All right. So, that being said, how are you? How have you been? Did you enjoy the Super Bowl? What games have you been playing right now? What's going on in the world of Mike Metal? Enlighten us.
Actually, I actually did, despite the result of the game, I did enjoy the Super Bowl. I haven't really been playing a whole lot of games as I would like to right now, because I've been busy pretty much the past couple of weeks getting ready for a show I'm going to be doing out in Tampa on Saturday.
Wait. I didn't know QZW was doing a show in Tampa. Oh, you didn't mean wrestling. Oh, what kind of show?
I am going to be performing in a concert, which I believe it's called the Florida Underground Industrial Festival.
Whoa, that sounds awesome. So you're in a band?
That is correct.
What instrument do you play?
I'm more or less pretty much the vocalist, but I also kind of do the whole, I'm trying to find the right word, composition of the music itself, since it is electronic industrial music.
And some of the music that people have heard in my previous streams was made from you?
Yes, actually, it's a lot of my early works.
Yeah, so if you remember hearing some of the music that you heard previously on my streams, that was from Mike Metal. Pretty cool, pretty cool. So if someone wanted to check and see what you guys do or what you guys have done, where would they go? Do you have a SoundCloud? Do you have a YouTube? What?
I actually have both SoundCloud and a YouTube, which it's soundcloud.com/synth solution music. And then you got YouTube, which goes by the same name.
Okay. Yeah, because see, we don't mind selfless plugging on the podcast at all, not one bit. So if you have anything to plug, feel free to plug it. Plug it in. Plug
Watch
it in.
Tabletop Panic.
Yeah, watch them too, and watch King of Trios. Right.
In 4 months.
So watch King of Trios in 4 months, everyone. There's your plug. All right. So there you go. Mike Metal has been busy doing the band stuff, doing the musical stuff. That's awesome. That's awesome. There's only one other person I really know that does musical stuff in the community, and that's Max Crimson. Have you guys ever hooked up and talked music at all? You know, from one musician to another?
Actually, I don't think I have talked with Max. I think I remember talking to Mark many a year ago, but that was about it.
Okay. No, as far as I can see, the stream is running good. Everybody hear and see everything good? Live chat? We good? So touching on the topic, back to the Super Bowl again. What's your favorite team in the NFL?
That's gonna have to be the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same position. You know, Green Bay's always been my number one, but then Dallas is number two, and I know most people would be like, "What? How is that even a thing?" They're most commonly one of the rivalries in the NFL, and I know. But the thing is my mom was a huge Packers fan. My dad is a huge Cowboys fan. That's how it goes. But Green Bay has always stolen my heart. So you were a bit disappointed. I guess I shouldn't have said I'm a Green Bay fan, seeing as what happened to the Cowboys this season. So my bad for that. My bad. Apologies. But imagine how torn I was in that game.
Actually, I wasn't really disappointed with how the whole season went.
All right. But you're currently in for the sake of the podcast, because I know most commonly you would just tell everyone you're from an undisclosed location in a dungeon somewhere normally, but are you Texas or Florida right now?
I'm pretty much Florida. I've been here in Orlando since '96.
Wait, so you're actually in Orlando?
Yes.
So you have went to see TNA then?
No.
What?
Nobody in the world could get me to go to TNA.
Seriously? I would try to go all the time if I lived in the same. I guess Orlando's a big city, just like any other big city, so you're probably not right next door to it. But still, though, I would have tried at least gone once, just to be like, yeah, man, I went. That thought never.
Yeah. I think the thought has been there. I actually have more of a thought to go see NXT now because I'm basically right down the road from the Performance Center.
Oh yeah, I didn't know they were in Orlando.
Yeah, they do their the NXT the main show is actually done in Full Sail.
Ah, okay. You see, I've never really watched that much of NXT. I know who some of the people are in NXT, but I've never really got really into it. So I didn't even know they were in Orlando. But that's cool. That's cool. So a lot of wrestling going down in Orlando now. Since TNA has the huge changeover, you know, they're on the new TV network. Are they still doing stuff in Orlando? Do you know that, or did they move somewhere else?
I don't know. I've actually been looking at their their dates, and the only thing I really have been seeing are the stuff they're doing out in Europe.
Huh. Okay. I wonder what they call home base now, because you know they were in the Impact Zone for so long, and then the Nashville Fairgrounds before that. But I don't know if they changed everything. Maybe they found a new home, or whatever.
When they did, I saw the inaugural relaunch, and I wish I didn't because it was terrible. But last I checked, they have been doing their shows in the Manhattan Center.
Ah, okay. So you thought the show was terrible?
I'll be honest, I didn't watch the entire show. It was the first opening segment that kind of sealed it because it was just like the old TNAs where everybody was just fighting for no reason, and it just looked like a giant mess on screen. And then it ends with Kurt Angle coming out saying, "This is TNA," and I'm just staring at the screen going, "So you're saying TNA is a complete utter mess?"
I see. Yeah, I didn't get to catch it either. Of course, anyone who knows me knows I don't really watch that much of wrestling to begin with. It was lucky for me to even tune in to watch the Royal Rumble match. Speaking of which, let's kind of talk about that. That you did watch the Rumble, right?
Actually, yes. Actually the only match I managed to get to see was the Royal Rumble match itself. I actually missed the rest of the pay-per-view.
Same here, same here. But that was by choice. What did you think about the Rumble match this year?
Uh, I actually think the past couple Rumbles have been rather lackluster, but usually they now focus on just trying to get that winner out there, and I actually didn't mind Roman Reigns winning it.
I didn't either. But having not watched wrestling in about a year since the last year's Rumble, I mean, pretty much literally, I watched one SmackDown in December, and then I watched the Divas match and the Undertaker Lesnar match at WrestleMania. So I watched two matches and a SmackDown since the last Royal Rumble. That's as much wrestling as I've caught up to keep up with the storylines and gimmicks and all this. So this Rumble match was like my coming back to WWE again, basically from last year. And I can see Roman Reigns, but coming from my standpoint, and I think I mentioned this last week with Josh D. I said I thought that Ryback would have been a much better choice in winning it, because when you get to WrestleMania, you've got Lesnar with the belt defending it against Ryback. Now that's two beasts I want to see clash. Now I don't know what his storyline or his gimmick is and how it's been damaged, because again I haven't watched really that much, but just from a size standpoint and physical stature, that's a match I would really like to see if WWE really just let him go in the ring. Two just big brutes duking it out. I think that'd be awesome. Of course, my original prediction was that The Rock would enter himself into the Royal Rumble match. So how funny was it when I was watching that after it was over, The Rock comes out, and I'm like, all right, here we go, number 31. No, not so much. I was like, I was so close. My prediction was so close to see Rock versus Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Well, that would have been fun because they did 40 man Royal Rumble before.
Yeah, that was my first thought. Like, oh my God, are they really gonna pull a Thaddeus from the RCWF Rumble when I screwed Mark and Team WOI and throw out three last minute entrants at the very last second without advertising it? And here comes The Rock, and he's gonna knock Roman Reigns out, and he's gonna seal the deal for his rematch against Lesnar from that SummerSlam for the belt so many eons ago that he lost to Lesnar. But no, it's not. I guess we're gonna see Roman Reigns versus Lesnar, and the whole IWC went eh.
Well, they were all kind of freaking out once Daniel Bryan got eliminated, but I guess they're doing some. From what I just read on WWE, they're about to do a match at the next pay-per-view with with Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. Winner goes to face Lesnar. Which it would have been great had they had this one match where it was the six remaining people of the Rumble. You put them in a cage and you have them. Oh wait, it was called the Elimination Chamber, and they got rid of it.
Yeah, and my deal is they should have never even made that a pay-per-view itself. They should have just kept that as a specialty, like it was originally. Not make it a pay-per-view once a year.
Well, I was never a fan of the theme pay-per-views anyway, where you got Hell in a Cell, TLC. They had the Fatal 4-Way pay-per-views, where every match was a Fatal 4-Way, or as I like to call it, the friggin' Survivor Series.
Yeah, I never was a big fan of that. Maybe once, just to say, hey, we're going to call it Hell in a Cell, but not every year.
Well, Hell in a Cell is completely pointless now because it's so PG, and you really can't get across how violent the structure is supposed to be.
Yeah. I mean, has anyone even been to the top of one in years?
I think the one where John Cena was against Randy Orton for the 2000th time.
2000 times. That's about right. It's hard to believe that John Cena and Randy Orton now have more world title reigns than Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Steve Austin, The Undertaker. In fact, Cena and Orton have doubled their title reigns over some of the aforementioned people. Hard to believe.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm not a big fan of is that belt moving around so often now. I liked it when Punk actually held it for more than a year.
So you're a fan of QZW title reigns then?
Oh, I think I had one ages ago. I think I had the U.S. belt once for like 200 something days.
Yeah, that was. I think that was that wasn't that.
That was the I think the inaugural year of RCWF on JTV at the time.
Was it? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so I guess we'll talk about that. So how did you first get started in RCWF? Because back then it was RCWF. How'd you find it? How'd you find us on AOL back in the day?
Well, that goes back. I would have to go back even further because I was a part of the NGPW roster back in 2005, I think, and
Yep.
then it kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, it was 2005. Then we had it. We kept it going in '06. Then '07 kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, and I think it was around '08 or '09 I saw that you had the RCWF thing in the AOL chat room, and because I know people are going to be surprised to hear it, I left. I asked to come back.
Right, because you went to IWA, the 2D6.
Yeah, that was fun.
Now, do you remember how you first found the NGPW? Were you just randomly browsing arts and entertainment one day, or did a friend tell you, or?
I think I was just randomly browsing, and I did have dice experience at that point, and I it had to have been through the arts and entertainment thing. That's the only thing that I remember.
Okay. Yeah, because we used to have our NGPW wrestling arena in the public room, so anyone could come in and watch. All right, and during that time, you had a rivalry with Eddie Cool, I believe.
Yeah, I believe that was right when we started doing the SmackDown versus Raw ones. Not long after it all kind of the whole RCWF part started.
Yeah, yeah, we kind of we did a little. So the way I'm remembering is you were in NGPW for a bit, and then you went to go do the IWA 2D6 thing, and that thing. Do you remember any of that? Do you remember anything really from that period of?
I remember a brief feud with Black Dragon, but the one of note was the feud I had with Corey O'Brien, which was right before I left.
And that was for the wasn't that for the U.S. title as well?
Yeah, and I believe I won that, and I won the rematch, and then that was when the whole 2D6 thing was kind of happening, and I thought I could do that on the side because it was a weird rule at the time, but you had so many people leaving at that point to go over there. I think you might have just had enough of it.
Yeah, back in those days, I had an exclusivity rule because it was so easy for people to just hop around, and then before you know it, you got the RCWF U.S. champion losing to some random low mid card jobber character in some other fed, and it's making the title look bad. And then some people's response to that was, well, I'll just make a brand new character. But then you come to the fact, well, what happens if RCWF has an event the same night as this other fed? Are you going to be over there, or are you going to be over here? because viewers means a lot to me. And so it was just one big hassle I didn't want to lead into. So that's what started the whole exclusivity rule, and I even had that at the beginning of the JTV. Was, you had to be in one league. These days it hasn't been so blunt like that because Zombspawn has so many leagues and e-feds and stuff. It's just been whatever. You can join whatever. So everyone's all crossed and here and there and character here and character there like it was back in the day.
Well, yeah, the Zomspawn the little I guess the spawned feds that are underneath the umbrella is one thing, but then you had, I guess, the only one that's still around on for the Twitch days is BWC, and that's a whole other bag of crap. That's
Yeah. So, do you remember the moment when I kind of stopped with I touched on with this with Trent Rain back when he was on my podcast a few weeks back. The moment when I decided to say, you know what, chats are done, chats are dying. I'm gonna start putting my shows on YouTube and uploading them each week. And then,
yeah. I actually remember. I don't know if he did it as a poll in the forums or what, but I remember it was coming down to people weren't attending the chats and people were complaining about them being too long.
yeah, that's kind of what I heard for the 12 or whatever years I did it. Too long. And I'm sure
now you just have the Royal Rumble.
right, and I'm sure I'll be hearing it on the last Tuesday of this month at Ground Zero. I will be hearing it. It's 5 in the morning. We're still.
Well, to be fair on your end, I think now you have like a set amount of people that can go in, but back then it was like people were still going in, and we're at number 79.
Yeah, we did 100-man that one year. I think it was '09 or 2010. We did that 100-man Rumble.
I think that went to like 9 a.m. the next day.
Oh yeah, the sun was up and shining here where I live. That's Central Time too. By the time it was over, so that was a fun one. But that was just for me to say, I beat the all-time Rumble attendance record with 100 people. So that was good. And then here lately, last year it was a 40 person, and I think the year before it was a 40 person. I've kind of kept it to 40 people or around that area. That way it just doesn't get too crazyfied. And seeing as how that there's a QZW championship match already booked on the card, well, if the right person wins that match who was planning on being in the Rumble, they're probably not going to be in the Rumble, seeing as how they're the champion. So if someone like a Raji ends up winning that championship match, well, he's the title holder. He probably won't be in the Rumble match since he's the champ. Kind of sucks for them if they were looking forward to being in the Rumble, but would you like to trade your title in to participate in a chance in the Rumble?
But do you want to go to Night of Champions as a champion, or the challenger, or Night of the Dead as the champion or challenger?
Right, exactly. I don't know though. I may have an extra slot for someone who just wants to screw around and goof off. That if they're the champion, I wouldn't expect them to try to win it and be like, oh yeah, because I mean, come on, you're the champ. There's a whole bunch of other people that don't have anything right now, and they're vying for that shot. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. But if someone's just like, I still want to enter it just to role play and have some fun for the experience, and I got the night off anyways. I just want to screw around and participate. Then sure, yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But okay. So carrying on with our timeline here. So you were in NGPW for a bit. You had feuds with Corey O'Brien and Black Dragon, kind of the mid-card thing going on. And then the NGPW thing kind of went away around '07 or so. And at that time, you were in IWA doing the 2d6 dice thing. And then you saw RCWF came back, so you're like, you know what, I'll come back. I'll join RCWF. and that lasted about a year, and then we switched over to YouTube, and pretty much ever since you've been part of the RCWF up until the BWC thing. But before that, we still have a lot of years of well, maybe about a year and a half, maybe a year and a half, 2 years of RCWF.
I think it was what? I think it was what 2008 or 2009. Actually, no, probably a little bit later that I actually left.
Yeah, it had to have been like '09 or 2010 because I started on JTV at the end of '08, if not early-ish '09. So that was the starting point for live streaming. That's when I'm like, oh, what is this Dazzle DVC thing? Oh, I can play my video games live on the interwebs and people can watch me in a live chat? Oh my goodness. This isn't like Yahoo Video, where I share my video with Nate as he watches me play the thing on the original Xbox. Oh my, this is cool. So like '09 was the beginning of that, and yeah, here I am, what, 6 years later or something, still doing it. Anyways, so yeah, you decided to head off to BWC, the Fed that shouldn't be named. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, that was fun.
So what made you decide to go?
It-
We're adults here. We're on the
Um,
podcast. You can be honest.
that was around the time when I think you were doing like a RCWF membership or something like that. Where
Oh yeah.
in order to be on the main roster, I think it was like $5 for 6 months and $10 for a year.
Hmm.
And those who didn't pay would go to the dungeon, which at that time, when I said I was going to leave, was Fire Pro Wrestling.
Right.
And
You didn't agree
right
with
when
that.
I left, I didn't agree with it, and I left. And I think right after that, it was like, "Oh, I'm going to actually do it all on SmackDown versus Raw."
Yeah. That was an idea I had. That was the original idea of the QZW club for what it is now known as in today of 2015, which is still not a thing because it's not ready yet. But that was the original idea of what I wanted, but I didn't know where I wanted to take it. So that was like, do that, and if you don't want to do it, then you can join this roster over here. And then I realized, well, not a lot of people. There's a lot of little kids, and they don't have access to, funds and stuff like that. And some people, their heart's not into it enough to go that far into it. And money's tight, finances are messed up these days. So it was after that I felt kind of guilty about doing that, and I actually legit felt bad about it. And then I think around that time was the time I moved off, about 2010, 2011-ish, I think was when I left Justin TV the first time and went over to in-game. Because I remember between the cash thing and then the in-game move.
I think it was like right when I left, when you were on in-game.
Yeah, because between the cash thing that I added...
I remember he who should not be named gloating that he was the top E-Fed on Twitch TV, and I'm sitting there like, you're the only Fed on Twitch TV.
Yeah, because...
And I'm sure Nate had already gone through the horror stories of that group.
Yeah, he was on the pod. I think he was the third guest. But yeah, he talked about how he went over there and got the world title shot. Then he brought the title here and did all that. But I'm not ashamed that happened. At the same time, I'm not gloating. I'm not like, ha ha, here's a finger in your face. Look what I did. Ha ha, look what we did to you. Ha. It's not like that anymore. It hasn't been like that for years. I think a testament to that.
That's the sad part, because it's the exact opposite on the other end.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But the thing is I didn't. Until tonight, the thought of them, has it crossed my mind? No, not really. I mean, do I wake up every morning thinking about who else is streaming this video game on Twitch these days? No. It's not like it used to be, ladies and gentlemen. There's freaking E-Feds. There's like a dude streaming it directly off his Xbox One with like 2 viewers, and here's SWGF Federation Universe mode. There's freaking 50 million more E-Feds now than there ever was in the beginning years. If you're gonna sit there and have a hard time against every single kid who has a Xbox One or a PS4 and can stream the game, you're gonna be a very negative person. Anytime you get on this live stream site these days, it's not like how it was where there was only maybe like 4 people who had the capability of doing an E-Fed. It's so much easier now for just a random kid to just start one up here on Twitch.
Yeah, and actually, I remember when I left, it wasn't like I just up and left. I think I was the tag champion at that time on, I think, Demolition with Scipio, and I said, I'll leave when I drop the belt. I'm not going to just up and leave like I did with the U.S. title and the New Glory.
Mm-hmm. So then, I was on that other site for a little bit. Then I came back, and RCW kept going. Do you remember at what time? Well, what about your experience over there? What made you decide to come back?
Besides the aneurysm I was about to have.
What?
It's
Go ahead.
It started out fun there because I was able to. I basically just turned Mike Metal into what CM Punk ultimately became, which was just mouth off. He just pretty much did shoots on stage on the mic, and everyone was loving my promos up until I started promoing against the top heel of the group, the whole federation, which happened to be the owner's wife. And it started out that they were enjoying it until she said it got him convinced that I was doing racially motivated promos, and my promo never mentioned race or color.
Yeah.
And at that point, it just turned into my promos now had to be censored. I couldn't upset anybody. So that watered down. That actually took the fun out of doing promos, which is one reason why I don't do promos now. And then I was being paired in feuds with people I was flat out honest with Jax that I did not like some of them. Nate will probably remember someone by the name of Lamont Williams, and oh dear God, those promos hurt me.
So were they like Big Bob or like what was?
Oh, he made Big Bob look intellectual.
Wow, that's saying something.
What he would do, he wouldn't do his promos on the forum. He'd do a webcam promo, post it on YouTube, post a link in the forums, and you'd have to watch this random jabber about. You didn't know what he was talking about. It was like watching Ahmed Johnson.
So waffles and Denny's and pancakes.
Basically, it got to the point where like he would enter and he would jump into other people's promos to do promos against them in feuds that had nothing to do with them. And I remember the thing that pretty much set me off was he jumped into one of my promos saying, "I have your mother in the trunk of my car. I just pushed it off a cliff into the ocean."
So it's kind of a mix of Big Bob and maybe a little Brian Pillman going on there.
I'm going a bit of Brian Pillman mixed with Special Ed.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And it got to the point where we're in the middle of this chat meeting, which happens after each show, which unfortunately he actually gets mad if we don't show up to it, which at this point is like 3 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. God forbid we have school or work the next day. And it just got to the point where I basically turned into Jim Cornette and went off on Lamont in the middle of this chat.
So how many of these chats, post-event chat Skype groups, mentioned me?
Oh, I remember, I think maybe 1 or 2. I remember that was when the whole thing about him trying to spread the rumor that you were keeping when you were doing the charity drives, you weren't actually doing giving them the donations, you were keeping them.
This was back in the days of Main Event Network, back when, we had GQ on, we had Aria, we had a lot of pretty big popular people doing a lot of awesome
Yeah,
stuff, raising a lot of money.
Yeah, and you're doing stuff like, and I think at this point raising like maybe $1,000, $2,000 going to these charities, and he's like, well, he's keeping the money, and this is the pot calling the kettle black, basically, because people would donate to him to get certain things, and he wouldn't get the thing that we're donating to. He would just use it on something else.
Well, what kind of things would you guys donate to?
Mainly, it would be like the next SmackDown versus Raw game, and I guess maybe a handful of others. But then it would he would just get crap that we weren't like games we weren't even donating to.
So it's kind of like me and the QZW club right now.
Well, I think at this point it's like completely irrelevant, and I don't think you've screwed anybody out of money anyway.
Well,
at least you were honest on where the money's going. It's like, well, it's going to pay for the merch. It's doing this. It's doing that.
Right. Well, I feel bad that people like you and Max Crimson and Gil, three of which who donated very early on to be in this season's QZW club, and don't think I didn't forget about you, because I haven't. And it still hasn't happened yet. So I feel really guilty about that. But, I got a lot of stuff going on. It's a lot of stuff for one person to do. And even today, I don't know if anyone was here earlier. I was on the Xbox One browsing the CAW options. I'm leveling my options. I'm asking Mark, like, should I do next gen on 2K15? I'm getting amped up and getting ready to start it out. I want to have it cranked up and rolling by the time March comes around. So don't think I'm like, oh yeah, you paid me $20. Never see that money again. It's not like that. I'm just trying. There's a lot of stuff that I got going on right now on my plate.
Yeah, it's not like you stay at home all day. You're actually going all over the damn place.
Yeah. Thankfully, I have this week off, but yeah.
But going back to BWC, I was actually amazed when I came back how much heat I had when I got back. Then again, I wasn't like I was the most popular person leaving. I think you described it as you're coming back and you have X-Pac heat. So
do you think that you had this kind of negativity before you left to go to BWC? You had this, everyone not really liking you? Was this before that?
I think a few people actually don't like me, but then when I came back, it turned into almost everybody not liking me. And it came down to, like, at this point, I'm a complete utter prick, which is one reason why, and we'll probably get into this later on with the whole WCE stuff, which is why I don't do the creative for that. Because if I'm doing something involved with some kind of creativity and it doesn't form to that plan, I actually get rather upset and rather prickish.
So
I turn into Shawn Michaels pre-Christian.
Okay. So you had maybe a few people that were like, yeah, that Mac Metal guy. Yeah. But then when you left to go there, and then you came back to a world of like everyone's like, wow, that Mike Metal guy. Yeah.
It pretty much is what it turned into, and I don't think I kind of came to that realization until like maybe the QZW Fed started up. Because then it was like when I would talk in the feds, not in the feds, in the chats, I would get like a good handful of people just right off the bat telling me to shut up, and I think I pissed off Eddie Cool because he was probably already pissed with my attitude.
Do you think that the biggest cause of that is your attitude in the chat or into other people, or do you think that maybe you're trying to be in character, but other people aren't getting the gist and they think it's like you, the real person, typing this to them, or is there just some sort of miscalculation going on when it comes to this?
Actually, I think it's a mixture of both, because there'll be points where I would talk in character, and then there'll be points where I would just argue with people.
Okay. So is the landscape around here about the same as it was for you in BWC, or is one better than the other, if you were to compare the two in terms of everyone's perception of you?
I'm actually going to go with it's actually better because I'm not actually kind of really focusing on it anymore. There would be points where I would notice that people were really not liking me, and I would want to know why, and I would get very confrontational. But now I'm at that point where if I'm worrying too much about that, it's not going to be fun.
Yeah, so you just kind of take the casual route, and maybe you'll pop in and watch a QZW live. Otherwise, you'll just maybe watch it on YouTube or catch the highlight or something like that.
Yeah, well, usually now it's on YouTube because usually on Tuesdays I don't get home till like maybe 10 o'clock at night. So usually QZW is still going, so I might be able to catch at least the second half, unless you go out and get a pizza, and it starts at that point. But
kind of like tonight.
A lot of times it comes down to I'll catch it on YouTube.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the Mike Metal character. What is the premise behind the Mike Metal character? How did you come up with the name Mike Metal? You've always explained to me that he's supposed to be an Undertaker, like right after he dropped the ministry, and he was trying to be a biker, but not quite full-fledged biker. That's what Mike Metal's supposed to be?
Originally picturing Mike Metal, I'd say probably it was like a basically like Edge. I think would probably be the best way to kind of describe him. It was like a mixture of Edge with the promos of CM Punk, where he would just go off.
Are you talking like Edge with Lita, that era of Edge? Rated R Superstar?
Yeah, kind of like he was cocky and arrogant, but he was also basically someone that wouldn't hold back if he had to tell you what he felt.
Okay. Appearance-wise, though, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I guess the appearance-wise was more Edge, and then I also kind of base off myself because I do have long blonde hair, and I guess that what the evil looks didn't start coming in till the QCW era.
So you think that maybe I kind of took your character a little too off the far beaten path than what you really ever wanted?
I think when you might have. I think it was back when I had that skull mask and it was almost looking like I was a little bit of a zombie, where it might have pushed a little bit too far. And I think I told you it's at that point where I don't even know if I can work with that. And I actually tried doing some promos where I was just completely dark, and I like having that ability to just kind of go off on a shoot against another wrestler. And that particular image didn't really convey it. But going back to the first question, as for the name, I've actually had that name since probably SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, and that was the gimmick the created wrestler I would always use.
So there actually was a created wrestler on that game called Mike Metal, or did you name...
I made him. I pretty much just made him from scratch. I'm trying to think of a name, and at this point I was heavily into metal music, and that's pretty much it. Just kind of rolled off the tongue, Mike Metal.
Is your real name is, if you don't mind people knowing who's listening to this podcast, your real name is Mike as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that kind of makes it a little easier when you have your real first name as your character's first name. I would know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've never really been in that position where I had to use another person's name. I don't know how I would react if I had like the name Sean or Tommy or something like that.
Yeah. See, I even took it one step even further. I just use my real name because I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah, and at least you know who you're talking to.
Right. Well, you know you're...
People say, "Hey, Mike."
Right, yeah. You know that you're talking to Tad Peters, but the thing is, which Tad Peters are you actually talking to? That's the question. Are you talking to the in-character Tad Peters? Are you talking to the real Tad Peters? Or are you talking to the half zombie, half chicken Tad Peters? That's the question that you always have to ask yourself. But don't worry, right now you're talking to the real Tad
I
Peters.
never knew you were half chicken.
Well, I kind of am. I kind of kept that a secret.
This explains why you probably don't go to Kentucky.
Yeah. I do eat chicken because I'm a zombie chicken, so I don't mind eating my own kind. I just don't like watching other people eat my own kind. It traumatizes me. Very sad. Alright, so, let's see. We kind of got off the beaten path there. Alright, so you're running QZW. Your deal with Scipio. You mentioned Scipio. But that lasted way back before in RCWF when you guys were a tag team. You said you were tag champs with Scipio. How did that partnership come? Do you guys ever talk outside the Twitch chats? Do you ever, interact with each other? Or has it always just been, okay, QZW's on, I'm sure I'll see him there. Okay, we'll talk to him there.
God, I can't remember how. I remember Heresy was originally popping up. Might have been near the end of RCWF, if I'm not mistaken. And it was originally Scipio leading that group with some British dude, and I can't remember his name.
I'm trying to think.
Do you remember? Oh God, I can't remember.
British.
It didn't work, and I think at that point I got paired in after that kind of failed, and I don't think I've actually talked to Scipio about any kind of storyline. We just kind of stuck with each other.
Okay. You've always just kind of relied on me to be the glue to keep it going.
Pretty much. At this point, it was like, okay, I'm obviously going to be a British wildcard. Thank you. If it was the dark storyline, it's like, okay, I'm going to leave that to Tad because he's good with the evil stuff.
Right, and I think there was a couple times where Mike Metal and Scipio were included in the Dead Zone takeovers too. So that might also explain why Mike Metal instantly transformed into something a little more devious than he usually is, because the Dead Zone had taken over, and was swept over, like kind of like Sauron in Lord of the Rings. Changes people, twists them around. But thankfully, evil never wins, unfortunately, and Mike Metal always seems to go back to his more human-looking self. So thank God for that. How do you like the manager stuff in QZW? The red suit. You kind of got the Father James Mitchell thing going on these days. You a fan of that, or?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I'd like to be more of a back to being in the ring again.
Yeah.
Since I believe the manager idea came up because at this point I was a full talent for Kent's group in WCE, and it's like I don't want to be bouncing back and forth. If I'm already in a major storyline there, I don't want to be in a major one. It doesn't make sense to be in a major one on QZW. And now that I've pretty much backed out of WCE in a creative aspect, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to go back into the ring for QCW, especially since it doesn't look like I'm a good manager because I sent Scipio's career back 50 years.
Yeah, man. What the hell happened? Scipio looked like, and I was seeing all the groans from the QZW universe. They're like, oh, get Scipio out of the world title picture. That was the sound
He went from going head to head with Norms to now getting his ass kicked by Snowman and all these jobbers, and it's like, oh God, what's happened? We're killing somebody here.
And I feel bad, but there's nothing I can do. It's 100 OVR and 100 OVR. Maybe you can tweak their movesets a little.
It just comes down to the law of averages, and I remember actually kind of backtracking a bit by a name. I don't know if anyone remembers. I think his name was Transgression.
Yeah.
He was the Intercontinental Champion up until he pitched a bitch fit and left because he lost the Shamu.
Yeah, I remember that. Actually,
Like,
no, no,
Dude,
no, 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 no. I remember it exactly now. He didn't leave because of that. He might have left because of that, but he didn't lose the title. He left as while he was still the champion. He left. He still
I
was the champion.
remember I was saying in the chat, it's like, dude, because he's freaking out in the chat room. It's like, dude, it was non-title. Why are you complaining? And he's just going off on a rant, and this also I think, kind of was also in the beginning of a lot of other people taking off and leaving for greener pastures.
Did you ever see that guy ever again? Because I didn't.
I can't even remember his name unless I looked at
Yeah.
any archives around that time in
I'm gonna,
chat.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna be honest with you. That's a name I don't even remember until you just now brought it up. For years, I still think that that might have been just somebody else on a different account.
Possibly. There was a lot of times where that was happening. I mean, God, how many trolls have we had in this Fed?
Yeah.
Besides the one that we actually created, that would be Snowman.
Yeah. And there's speculation that Snowman has been quite a few different characters that we've seen over the years. Well, I know, in fact, that but I have to say the biggest troll of them all would have to have been the guy who did Kid Murda. Not very many people know that Kid Murda was also Triple L, if you remember him.
I remember.
Or not Triple L. I'm sorry. Richie Rich. Kid Murda and
Oh yeah, I remember Richard. Oh, Richard Rich. Triple L was.
Triple L was a different guy. Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting because that was my only world title win that lasted a whole 2 weeks.
Yeah. Speaking of
Wasn't he also Vic Rattlehead, or was that someone else?
no, Vic Rattlehead. Yes, you're right. Yeah, Kid Murda. Kid Murda was Richard Rich, part of Alexander Knight's stable, and he was also Vic Rattlehead. All three were the same person. Not very many people know that. But it's been
I did not know that.
yeah, but it's been so long since
Someone
he's been
brought
around.
it up
So.
earlier. I can't remember who. I think it was like DJ Kraft or something.
And at that point, I was heavily in that kind of in their storyline because I was poking at the whole what was it, Knight Incorporated or whatever, up until Alexander Knight left.
Yeah, and that was a deal, and you know, I was upset the way he reacted over that, but I mean, he thought that I was controllering. He thought that maybe the movesets might have been, you know, toggled with, and maybe I was controlling Justin Rom to make him win the belt, but it wasn't. I will always say this: if I'm gonna controller a match, you are easily going to see it because you want to know why? I suck at those games. Even if I turn the revert, click the button to reverse thingies that show up, even if I did turn that off, you're going to easily notice at this point in the game, people have seen so many AI matches that they know what's the standard and what's not the standard. If you see a character go out to the top of the Hell in a Cell, or, continuously do this or that, or try to do this move or try to do that move, then you know it's not the AI. You know it's me tinkering with it. But I will tell you this, out of all the years I've been doing this as a live stream, I've maybe controllered 4 matches. That's no lie. That is no lie. And I would hope that Mark and Nate would be able to vouch for me on that. In the total since, 2009, I've probably controlled 4 matches. One of which was a match very early on. I think it was the first year I was even doing this. It was a Hell in the Cell match with Jordison and Scarecrow versus the Dead Zone, I think. And I think what happened was Nosferatu chokeslammed Jordison off the top of the Hell in the Cell through the broadcast table. That was me. I did that. I was controllering that. And then I think after the match was over, I actually admitted, I'm like, yeah, I actually controlled the match. But I think there's only been like 3 other times. In QZW, I have not controlled a single match since we started QZW. That's the whole point of an EFED, is to just let luck and fate sort it out. That's the whole point why everyone is joined. Everyone is on a fair playing field. Everyone has got the same stats. Some of the move sets might be different. Some of the hit things on the body might be a little different. And some people may think, I've got a way to always consistently win, like someone like a Jones or an Archangel, and try to put their twist on it. But no one's ever going to be like 50-0. Eventually, you're
No,
going.
I think the only time where we had the problems were, I can't remember what year SmackDown game it was, but it might have been the same year as the infamous Next Wave angle. When you couldn't actually alter the stats, you had to play each match to get with each wrestler to get their stats up.
Yeah, that was time consuming as hell for me.
It was like, okay, because you start out 50, and eventually you got everybody at 100 for probably like playing 48 hours straight.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember doing I think it was 6-man tags and just letting the AI fight and then come back, and then 10 minutes later it'd be sitting there at the here's your stats screen, and do it, and then just rematch and the rematch and the rematch and the rematch and the rematch. I'm so glad they took that out.
Yeah, that was kind of a pain in the ass.
Indeed. Yeah, and I had to do that for like 4 brands at the time. So that was...
Yeah, those were fun.
Yeah, there was a lot of hours spent on that game.
And I guess probably... I don't think I should even go into that whole thing early in the career, which would the whole Next Wave angle.
Well, Josh D talked about that last week. A lot of the Next Wave stuff.
Yeah, I heard some of that. That's why, is there really a whole lot to say on that? It turned into like a running joke, and it collapsed in on itself. Where at least the only two people to survive that, I think, might have been Max Crimson and Josh D. I fell into obscurity. Hammer kind of went his own way. I don't remember what happened to Nova.
So you heard what Josh had to say on last week's podcast. Would you kind of agree with what he was saying about what all happened, or do you have a different take on the situation?
I'm actually trying to remember who talked to me. I think it might have been either Archangel, who I forgot was in that. It might have been either Archangel or Hammer wanted me in the group, because I would have been like the veteran leading it, kind of like the Hollywood Hogan of the NWO. And I originally refused, which I think was why they ended up going for Josh D and Nova. And then I kind of was a last-minute addition to that, and it just kind of turned into a colossal mess of my attitude. And you had a couple egos into it, and it just kind of crumbled into obscurity.
Uh-huh.
Because at this point, I think that kind of started where I just kind of fell off, because I don't think it was that long after the Biohazard title loss against Triple L that I kind of jumped into that group.
Well, you'll always have one claim over me, and that's beating me for the Biohazard Championship on Meltdown. Do you remember that matchup?
I don't think it was for the Biohazard. I think it was either for the US or whatever that title was that was submission only.
Oh, yeah. Was that what it was?
It started out middleweight, and I pretty much ran over everybody with that belt, and then you added the rule that you could only it could only be a submission only. And I think I might have survived 3 more matches until I lost.
But you originally got the belt off me.
Yeah, I think so. And that's kind of when the Tad zombie thing kind of started happening, where he would lock himself into the mansion and then come out as, oh dear God, what's that?
Right, yeah. Yeah,
So
I don't think...
I'm the cause of
You
I'm the cause of evil Tad Peters.
you are, because I don't think Tad Peters has been humanoid since that time. He's either been full-fledged
Yeah,
zombie with
that was the last time you heard Super Beast.
he's either been full-fledged zombie with like a Mason Newton with like two just shambling zombies. He's gone that far to evil. I don't know how you would describe it. Mastermind, I guess, type that he has been for 4 years now. But he hasn't been normal, not with the Frohawk. Not Frohawk. Tad Peters hasn't been seen since that time. Yeah, so Mike Metal is the cause of that.
I
The
don't know,
closest I remember
maybe
would
he'll
be
come for revenge at some point.
What was that, Gil?
the closest I remember Tad to being normal was the Joey Hallmark feud, because he didn't have gray skin. He had a buzz cut, and he was evil, but he wasn't leading anything. He didn't look like a zombie. He came out to Super Beast, and then Joey Hallmark gave him the zombie maker and actually made him into a zombie again.
I think he
That
did.
might have been right after that whole thing with the Metal Tad match.
Well, the Metal Tad match would have been probably in like 2010 or so, 2009, probably 2010-ish, or 2009.
Yeah, I can't really remember the timeline that well.
Yeah, and
Because at this point, you went to quite a few. You were on Endgame, and then Endgame had its problems, and you tried Ustream. Ustream lagged like hell before maybe coming back to Twitch.
yeah, and then I came back here, but the Hallmark Peters thing was wasn't that the last year of RCWF?
It was the first year of QZW.
Oh, was it? Okay, so it was only 2 years ago when that happened.
Okay, so I might not have been there then. I was probably still with BWC.
It could be, or
'Cause
you might have been
I
in
don't think I was
WCE.
I don't remember because I remember RCWF folded up, and you were kind of thinking, well, if I bring it back, because this is when that crap with Eli happened, and then I think you were saying, like, if I bring it back, it's going to be invitation only. That didn't last long, and
It never does.
I kind of looked on the radar, and it was like, wow, Tad's back doing wrestling.
Yeah, I always say when I get to that moment, I'm like, I'm just only gonna make it invitation only. I'm just gonna hide out and just do my own thing. It never lasts long. Eventually, more and more people want
You're not
to.
going to hide from everybody.
Eventually, more and more people are like, "Hey, I want to join. Hey, you're doing it again. Hey, I want to come back. Hey, 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 hey." Before I know it, I've got a full roster again. It's like, yeah. Anytime.
And 6 shows.
Yeah, yeah.
I swear I'm not going to do 4 shows. Well, we got Shimmer, Contagion, Live Wire. I'm still waiting for Demolition.
Yeah, I remember when I first brought QZW back, I was like, I'm only doing one show, that's it. I'm not doing anything else. I'm just doing Contagion, that's it. No more. And I think I eventually brought Livewire as like a secondary just for whatever. And then it became its own brand. And then this season I'm like, all right, I'll bring Shimmer back and I'll legit do next gen. So now guess what? I'm back to 4 shows. Although 3 of them are active right now.
Yeah, in all honesty, can you really trust anyone to take? I think you were trying to figure out a way for someone to do the shows without to take the strain off you.
I did that once with Dylan when he did the dungeon, and I would like to think that he did a
Yeah.
good job with the time that he was able to put into it.
They were pretty entertaining to watch. I just wasn't a big fan of Fire Pro at that point, which was why I kind of went like, wait, I'm going to be knocked down to Fire Pro, and if I'm in the main event, if I'm on a pay-per-view, I'm going to be opening match. No.
You got to admit though, that roster on that Fire Pro at that time was massive.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of people in that thing. All right, so we got. Did you ever have any experiences with Dark Phantom? Maybe over there.
Over there, I didn't. I don't think. I maybe I would.
You were never booked
He was
against them. You were
good.
never in a stable, or
No, the only I think the only one of us that left that had any interaction with him might have been Hammer because he was doing I think doing matches with him. I didn't have interaction with Phantom till WCE.
okay. Let's talk about that now. WCE. That's obviously Tank One's thing. He started it under Zomspawn. I think he started it. It was either last year was when he first started doing it under Zomspawn, and he asked me, he's like, "Hey, I want to start my own Fed. I'm leaving this place, and I want to do my own thing." I think that was last year sometime, and then that's when you were in QZW as well, and then you decided you were going to go WCE, and
Yeah, because I would think I was kind of getting burnt out creatively at that point, and it's like, well, let me try to help out Tank on this end, and if all works out, I can at least bring it back to the Zomspawn, and we can be under that umbrella, and he can get more exposure.
hmm so how was that run? Because are you still in WCE right now? I mean, I don't even know if it's still going, to be honest.
I think my appearances are very. I only did one appearance since leaving. I'm actually not involved in it that much anymore. Because it was like
I do know that WCE.
What's that?
Go ahead. WCE is running.
It
I
is
know that for sure.
It's running, yeah, definitely, but
okay.
it was turning. It just got kind of. I think I'm losing my train of thought now. Because I think I love it. You were kind of about to go into like a hiatus on your end, I think, because you were about to. It was probably like right when you got the game, and you were going to go on like that month-long thing of creating all the wrestlers.
Right. Yeah.
So I went to WC to try to at least build that up, and I wish it could have lasted, but then that I think it just came down to too much drama on both sides, kind of causing that to fizzle out.
Okay. And so now you're
And I won't even mention names on here to at least on the QCW end on the drama because I think we went through a lot. It kind of started. It started popping up around when we were doing the anti-bullying charity playthroughs.
okay. So that was as soon as I believe that was last July when we did that.
That sounds about right because I think around that point Tank's already getting upset because it's just one thing after another. People going to him or actually to complain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to be a good boy at this point because I've already pissed off everybody on that side. And I'm like, I'm gonna be a good boy. I'm not gonna bitch. Not gonna bitch. It's just, and it. I think it pretty much came down to when you got the partnership for Hitbox, and I don't think Tank handled that well because he was trying to.
Uh-huh. Well, I wish him the best, and him and Sean, I guess, are doing their stuff over there still. I don't know. I don't really have time to keep up with it, but Gil says that they're going, so I wish him the best. And if a partnership deal is what they're wanting, then I'll put in a good word for them. I did for Sean, so hopefully they get what they want. It was a goal of mine.
Yeah,
and
I think what happens on Tank's end is he's not getting the viewers because he doesn't have that exposure anymore that he had when he was under Zomspawn.
Mm-hmm.
Because now I think it's like maybe like less than 10. At least when I watched it, there were less than 10 viewers.
Yeah, that's what I always said.
He only goes on. He goes on kind of sporadic.
Yeah. That's what I always told people about that site over there. I said, if you think that you're going to take something and go over there and get, 40, 50, 60, it's going to be a little bit harder than that because that site's blossoming and it doesn't have the random people to come in like Twitch does. You're gonna have a very difficult time.
Yeah, like I'll open up a Twitch channel. I'll do a Twitch game, and I'll get at least 12 people watching me. And I go on Hitbox, and the only one that's in the room is me because I have it open on another my phone, so I can see what the chat room is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Hitbox is that kind of does a poor way of exposing everybody.
Yeah, the site's just new. That's really. I mean, it's a new site. It just got out of beta a couple months ago, in fact. So give it time, and it'll grow. It'll grow, I'm sure. The people over there are amazing. I have nothing bad to say about this site at all. It's just my end of the deal was I just there were the people that need to know some of the real reasons behind it, but the real general idea of it is I just wanted to resort to just focusing on streaming again and not have partner this and partner that. It's not exactly what everyone raises it up on a pedestal to be. If you think that once you get the little subscribe button and your partner and you think you've got it made and you're in the heavens with the gods, you're going to have a rude awakening. It's not like that. In fact, you got to work even 3 times as harder once you're there compared to trying to get there. It's a lot of hard work, and it takes a lot of consistency. If you only stream like once a week or once every 2 weeks, and you're never going to break that glass ceiling that they have set for you over there, and it's just pretty much becomes pointless. And then at that rate, you're just wasting people's time and their subscriptions. And that's part of the reason why I left it. I guess I can touch base on it is because I felt guilty that so many people were subscribing to me, but I just didn't have enough people to make it mean something. I appreciate every single person who did to support me, and I know who you all are, and thank you for that. You're all amazing, and I love you. But thing is, we weren't getting enough to make it a thing, and I was starting to feel guilty that all these people were doing this, but none of it was. There was no return for it. It was just going straight somewhere else, and I didn't feel. My conscience was taking a hit because of that. So that's just one of the reasons, though. Anyways, all right. So you're now full-fledged QZW now, right? No other really EFED going on. You're just kind of QZW.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I might tell Tank, yeah, I'm willing to make an appearance on his show, but pretty much it's 100% QZW now.
All right. And you're judging from here recently the interactions between you and Scipio, in character, of course. It seems like you're kind of fed up with Scipio after his loss to Big D. In that match a couple weeks back, you kind of told him off a few weeks ago. You told him to go back to wherever it was he came from, and you pretty much wasted your time bringing him back. Pretty harsh words. He seemed like he was a little angry too, kind of groaning at you or something while you're doing that. How do you think that's going to pan out? Is it time for Mike Meadow to put the trunks back on and get back to work, or?
It may be. I did say that if I got to do it myself, I will, because he came back and it kind of did absolutely nothing. He might have. I think he won his first match back, and then just kind of went on a couple months losing streak.
Yeah, and the icing on the cake was that loss to Big D, because you guys were kind of assaulting Big D with chairs and stalking him and taunting him and everything, and that's as early as season 3 of QZW. So we're talking like maybe a month ago, if that all this has.
So then you look at what I was doing. Like, I think I'd probably be a decent threat on the roster, because you look at my last couple in-ring appearances. I was on the tournament to face Norns, the inaugural tournament, made it to the end and wasn't the one that got pinned.
Right, you were in the Since Chase with Brooks, and it was that triple threat match. So you were almost there, You're almost there. You're in
Not
that
lose
final
it,
match.
and I did not get pinned that was Brooks that lost a match.
Yeah. So that can always be your claim to dibs, is that you were never the one to get pinned or tap out in that triple threat match.
But oh no, Lawrence is on the roster now, and I just kind of thought of it. So you never know. Maybe I can get that world title shot again.
Yeah, things have been very crazy this season. Did you get a chance to check out much of Doomsday last Tuesday?
I trying to remember if I did watch it. I think I did watch it live.
There were two pretty crazy moments.
I think I watched it up to maybe the final match, and that's when I was just kind of already having a long day, and I just had to turn it off and catch it on YouTube the next day.
So there were two pretty crazy moments that happened last Tuesday. The Razor Sharp dressing up as Crow deal, and then Far Beyond Better coming down to stomp a mud hole in Jack Johnson, and then the other one was the return of Joey Hallmark, because Josh D was still angry at Grem for losing.
Yeah, those were a couple wild moments.
Yeah, the chat was just going absolutely ballistic for those two moments, and it seems like there's just a lot of electricity, a lot of things popping in this season. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it this energetic since QZW has been a thing. Like, the first season was good because now it's all fresh, and QZW is a brand new thing and everything, and everyone's geared up to see what the future holds. Season 2 was just kind of it was average at best. Just things kind of just went along, and it was marred with a lot of kind of personal controversies and stuff that happened through the season. But this season, since it started in December, it has just been high octane, just amazing. There's just a lot of stuff going down. I only wish that I had time to get Next Gen going and have been doing Next Gen to really add to it. But it's coming. It's coming. But so far, Contagion and Livewire, there's just so much stuff going down. It's pretty awesome to see. If there's a title, barring the currently vacated Intercontinental title in Contagion, every other title picture has got something going on. That's really awesome. And then you got the side stuff that doesn't involve a title. Then you got stories building off title. You got stories building all over the place. So it's really awesome. And of course, we got Ground Zero coming up. Who's going to win that? Then we got Night of the Dead in 2 months or whatever. I have a good feeling about this season. I think everyone's geared up and happy and ready for it.
Yeah, no one knows what's going to happen. I might have to take care of Scipio myself, because I might have to take the big dog to the back of the woodshed and put the gun to his head and put him down.
Yeah, you do notice that he has been attending live in person. So this isn't just some NPC character brought back from the past that we're talking about here. He's alive in the flesh watching. So, if you're going to do something like that, I would expect there to be a little bit of retaliation on his part. Are you afraid of that?
Well, I think I've got myself in the worst trouble than that.
All right, so taking a few questions. There's a question that was asked a long time ago from Tommy Spud. He asked if you ever had any desire or have watched any New Japan Pro Wrestling.
I never actually watched it. I don't actually know how to get a hold of it.
Okay.
Beyond downloading it online, but trying to find any kind of stream of it, or because it comes down to it's for something a little bit more fun to watch it, at least a stream of it compared to sitting there for what could possibly be 2 hours to wait for this thing to download and then watch it.
I do have a way. New Japan has its own streaming site, like the network. It's called New Japan Pro World. If you don't mind using Google Translator, you can get it for 999 yen, which is about 850 because the yen is shit. Don't mind using Google Translate.
I'm already paying for the network.
Well, okay, I quit using the network, so if you have one or the other, it's pretty good.
I'm giving it a shot because they finally dropped the commitment fee, which I was not a big fan of. Like, oh, good, $9.99 a month, unless you count the $60 you have to fork out right off the bat.
I'll probably pick it up for WrestleMania because it's WrestleMania.
I have yet to have a network thing, but that I have my own reasons for that. I don't watch it enough to really justify getting it. Really,
I'll keep it around for probably WrestleMania unless they start adding more content. I'm noticing they're censoring some of their crap because of the blood, and they turn it into that black and white thing because apparently no one can handle the sight of blood.
yeah,
It's still better than what they used to do with the Giant X.
Yeah, they did that, and then they used to blur in their older stuff. They would blur out their own the old logos because they weren't allowed to use the Attitude Initials WWF. They could use the old logo from the 80s to mid 90s, but they couldn't use the late 90s to 2001.
I find it funny that WWE is taking this step back to the oh my god, blood, ooh, nasty, ooh, ooh, ooh. Meanwhile, in the video gaming world, it couldn't be any more bloody and gory. What is happening?
There's no one that can go against them. They had TNA, and they kind of failed miserably.
Video game.
The only reason they went that far was because they were getting their ass handed to them by WCW.
I just find it funny. WWE's like taking this approach, and yet the video gaming, the past couple years in video games, even probably the past 10 years, you couldn't get much more violent, bloody, gory. I mean, come on.
I don't know with what 2015 delivered, and dear God, that game was terrible. I wouldn't be surprised if 2K16 actually takes out blood entirely.
I wouldn't be shocked one bit.
Have you seen the blood in 2K15 though?
With a 5-man creation limit.
5-man creation.
whatever the limit was in WWF Warzone.
Wait, what did you saying? What are you saying, Gil? Is the next gen blood pretty crazy?
Yeah, when it works. Apparently, it doesn't work in PS4, but I'm gonna link you a list, a video.
Well, maybe we'll see it in QZW Next Gen at some point. The Next Gen blood. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if they removed it altogether in the next video game.
No, I actually had so much hope for 2K15 because it was going to be their game that they built from the ground up instead of like last year, which was just adding on to THQ's monstrosity. And they fumbled that ball badly.
Oh yeah. From a creative standpoint, oh yes, it's probably the worst game.
It pretty much it says a lot now that if none of the EFEDs are actually using it.
I think Sean Broderick is using it for something, but yeah, I mean, I'll be using it for next gen, but yeah, outside of that.
I mean, what was it? The thing that stands out was when you were testing it, you had Mexican Kane.
Yeah.
Like we're all looking at him going, he's orange. I mean, I knew Kane in 2002 had a tan, but dear Lord, he was like a whole different color.
He's like Taz color.
Yeah, it's like all you need is his whole body could have the number 13 on it.
He's like Taz color. He's like a giant Taz. All right. We got some questions in the questions thread, and again, thanks to those who actually did post questions. If you didn't know by now, you can ask each guest of the podcast questions in our forums. Every week it's added. And I see Joey. We got questions here from Joey Hallmark. So his first question is, how did you decide on the name Mike Metal? But we already touched on that. So we'll move to the next question, which is, why not pick a name like Mike Copper, Mike Steel, or Mike Titanium?
Because it doesn't sound good. I could see Mike Copper coming out in a Duracell outfit.
So you're saying that those could be the mysterious, never before seen brothers of Mike Metal, Mike Copper, Mike Steel.
It could happen. I mean, you never know what could pop up. I mean, I think Mike Copper would probably almost be a relative of Sean Libby.
What about Mike Hunt?
That would probably be on Shimmer.
Okay. His next question is, what's your favorite music genre?
Industrial. Which I guess probably the best way to compare that to people who don't know what that is. It basically, Nine Inch Nails would probably be the best way to describe it, and maybe if anyone ever heard of Skinny Puppy would probably be the top tier in that genre.
So, maybe A Perfect Circle, would that be?
Yeah, I mean, I still listen to, well, I think more A Perfect Circle is probably a different type of rock, but I still listen to that few and far between, because I'm not a big fan of the newer, or I guess the more modern bands, besides maybe Five Finger Death Punch.
So Static X wouldn't be in industrial?
Static X works. They're kind of that industrial metal part, which I guess maybe Orgy would kind of be in there. Early Marilyn Manson, Rammstein would kind of rank up in there.
Okay. So I've always liked industrial, but I never knew it then, because all of those bands you just said I like.
I guess in some instance, maybe some aspect of Rob Zombie.
Oh, well then I definitely like industrial.
Well, it depends on how they label themselves, because the industrial is kind of more reliant on electronic music.
Oh, well, I'm a huge fan of dubstep. Does that count?
Yeah, very loosely. I'm not a big fan of dubstep. I don't mind some of the aspects of it in music. I just don't like if it's the entire song.
Okay. Like some of the stuff.
Bands like Skrillex, Knife Party, that kind of. I guess that's hardstyle or something like that, but I can't stand it.
What about the stuff Korn's done with dubstep? I think that stuff's amazing.
Korn was I actually liked that album when they did that one.
Yeah, I love
get
that.
Gone Chaos. Mark mentions in the chat room mindless self-indulgence. Yes, they do count.
Okay.
I forgot about it.
If metal was answer to previous question, did that have any effect on picking your name? He's referring to music genre.
Pretty much, yeah.
So
at that point, I was still in high school at this point, so I was still kind of into that. Mainly Metallica, Megadeth, Godsmack, Stave.
So you were kind of metal first, and then you over the years you've kind of switched over to industrial.
A friend of mine introduced me to a couple industrial bands that are based out of Germany, where I guess pretty much on the Europe side is where you can make a great deal of money in this genre, but I'm not that popular and I don't have the money to go to Europe.
What about Lacuna Coil? Would that be industrial? Would that be like?
Sure. I think they rank up there kind of like with Evanescence.
Oh, okay. Because I like Lacuna Coil too. His next question is, why not Mike Jazz, Mike Country, or Mike Funk?
Because I don't like any of them.
You don't like to funk?
I don't like. I actually I don't like saying I don't like any of them. I don't like it as a whole, but there might be something that pops up on the radio that I can actually listen to.
I'm a free
But
agent listener. I like a little bit of everything.
I mean, I'm the person that'll put on my iPod Marilyn Manson, Eminem, and Jimmy Buffett,
Okay. Um, his
which really freaks out anybody at work when they hear that. Like they'll hear Eminem and then they'll hear Margaritaville being the next track.
sounds kind of like my taste. I kind of switch all over the place myself. He asks, what makes QZW stand out to you compared to the other wrestling e-feds that you've been a part of? And I guess you could do QZW slash RCWF.
I'd say it was probably more fun because IWA I don't really have a whole lot of memories of because I wasn't used a whole lot after that first month because I got tired. I just got tired of it, and that's when I backed out for like the next year and a half. BWC was originally fun up until I had to censor myself so I didn't piss off the wife. And so, yeah, QCW was actually and RCWF was fun, and you didn't have to hold back. You didn't have to worry about saying something in a promo about a created wrestler that would upset the actual person.
Unless it's transgression.
Yeah, I don't know anybody. I can't think of anybody who got pissed off over a promo.
What has been your favorite moment in RCWF or QZW that you were a part of?
I was a part of. Probably the thing that probably stands out the most was it was a long storyline between myself and Eddie Cool, which I think at that point he was the TV champion and I was the US champion, and we kept trying to unify the titles because I think at this point the TNA game's coming out, and you wanted to do I guess it's the Ultimate X match
Mm-hmm.
to unify the belt, and then we all play the game, and it's like, oh, this game sucks.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing because it did have that match that no other game had, and I was looking forward to it, but I don't even think there's AI versus AI on it.
When that feud between me and him lasted, I think, for a good couple months because we kept trading victories, and then the only thing disappointing is that it just kind of ended with I can't even remember who came and ended who. I can't remember who won the U.S. title after me, but it was pretty much I kind of fell off for a little bit after that, and that's when the whole Ray Foundation thing, which I just kind of remembered now, popped up.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were part of the Ray Foundation, kind of like as a mercenary, kind of an accessory, kind of like what Trent Rain is kind of used these days.
Yeah, and then I just couldn't. I didn't do a whole lot in that one, so that's probably why I didn't remember it till now.
Yeah. Yeah, it just came to me myself. All right, yes. What has been your favorite moment in RCW for QZW that you weren't a part of? Maybe something you saw, maybe a match you saw, maybe a storyline or a gimmick or something over the years that you're like, oh wow, that's pretty cool.
I do remember I can't remember what year it was. I think it was Eddie Cool and Trent Rain, which might have been one of the WrestleManias, Night of the Dead, Night of the Immortals, or whatever. Might have been 2009, and that was actually a fun match to watch because it was, even though it was AI versus AI, and it was actually a back and forth match that took a while to end.
So it was a title match between Trent Rain and Eddie Cool.
Yeah, I think that was the main event of that particular year.
Okay.
A year, the one who probably still has the archives. I don't so.
Yeah, I think that might have been the night that Eddie Cool beat. Did Eddie Cool beat Trent Rain for the belt?
I want to say he didn't, but it was getting close. I don't think Eddie Cool won the belt for until maybe like a year later.
He
No,
just
he was
talked about
cashed in.
this.
No, Trent was cashed in, wasn't he?
Uh,
Yeah, Trent held that belt for a while during that
He
time.
beat Liam twice, and then
Domino
did
beat him, I
Domino win it?
think.
Yeah, yeah, Domino, and then yeah.
So it must have been a Trent Reign retain over Eddie Cool.
No, Eddie beat Domino.
Okay, so Eddie Cool beat Trent, and then
No,
Yeah,
KS has it right in the
Eddie
KS has
Cool.
it right in the chat. Tr- Trent lost it to Domino, who lost it to Eddie, and then the whole thing quit.
okay, okay.
Yeah, because I think Eddie Cool and the Trent Reign thing was almost like the teacher versus student type match or whatever.
I vaguely remember it, but it all runs together to me if it's 6 months ago.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember because I know I was in a triple threat match. I think that same year with Dan Shoryu and somebody else who I can't remember, and that match ended so perfectly because I remember getting that was when you could get backdropped over the top rope,
Oh God, I love that in those
and
games.
I that's how I was taken out of the match because they did the back body drop and I go over the top rope to the floor and you don't see me for the rest of the match and Dan Shoryu keeps the IC belt.
That was effing amazing. I loved it that year when they made that. All the moves could be, you could fly out of the ring, and if you fell off a ladder, you'd fall outside the ring through like. There's actually an achievement for that, where if you knocked an opponent off the ladder and you had tables set up outside, and they crashed through the tables, you get an achievement for it. That was amazing. I loved that. That was so awesome. And then the next year they took
Yeah,
it out.
I love that function because you could throw people out of the ring, you could power bomb out of the ring, you could do
Yeah.
whatever you want. You could just you had so much fun, and then they just kind of tapered it
Yeah.
out.
As usual, following the trend, they have something spectacular, and then the following year they remove it. No, Trent, Domino, and Eddie was the last year of RCWF because Trent and Eddie have not been QZW World Champions. Only Domino has, and that was after he. Yeah, never mind. I'm not going to bring that up because I haven't been booked since that match. Anyways, um, let's see. His next question is, who on the current roster would you most like to have a match with right now?
Are we talking about Contagion or all of them?
Why don't you give me all of them?
Let's see. I'm looking at the Contagion one now. Let's see. I would like to have another match with Eddie Cool on the Contagion roster. That might be fun. I think I did a match with Thaddeus, which he's middle of nowhere, probably gone still. I don't remember if I fought Norns. Not Chucky. Was Slasher on here? Yeah, Slasher would be one that'd be kind of interesting. Right now I'm looking at the live wire. Which is not loading. Live wire, I wouldn't mind going after is Josh D still around on these rosters?
Yeah, Josh, he's on Contagion.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, add him to that list because I don't think I've actually had a one-on-one match with him. Yeah, that's pretty much maybe one more of Archangel just for giggles,
Okay.
but that's pretty much about it.
All right. Now Gil has some questions. He's gonna ask you that he posted.
Okay. First off, do you think you could be the first ever Intercontinental Champion of QZW?
I do.
Okay, so yeah. Would you like to be in the King on Trios right here on Zombchicken Network? Thumbs up, goofy grin. Yeah.
The who? Oh wait, I remember it now.
We did the whole plugging thing already.
Yeah, I remember. I remember it. I think I was in one of them before.
Yeah, back when I think was it DDT Kid did one? I
It
think
might
you
have.
were in that one.
I think it was when we. Actually, I might have been in two of them. I think I did one with as a Next Wave group and just for giggles, and we did one as Heresy.
Nah, I brought it back last year, and it went well. So I'm doing it again this year. Would you like to be in the King of Trio? If you could get a trio without any hassle, would you enter it?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Quick look at the next gen roster. And which one would be a good rookie?
Yeah, since you are in the QZW club.
The thing that caught my eye was and I'm hoping it's what I picture it as, the Slender.
Okay.
Interesting choice.
I'm picturing him as I've never actually seen what he looks like. I'm picturing Slender Man.
And that's kind of the fun part about it. Nobody has seen what any of these guys look like, so you're only basing them by their names. That makes it more interesting and fun for me.
Yeah, because I had a next gen rookie before, and I can't remember his name, but I remember the actual person was deployed.
You had the army guy?
Yeah, he had almost a similar gimmick to Scipio and myself, and
Oh, you're talking about? Are you talking about Chris Cryptic or Crisis?
I can't remember. I just remember that he was never able to promo because he was overseas.
It wasn't either of those two because those two lasted. Because the guy that was deployed got eliminated the first week.
Oh man, who was that? Now I gotta figure out who that was. But go ahead.
Anyway, yeah, don't know any of these people except the people that were coming back from last time that failed to get on the roster. Unless Dale Reed's now a Indian biker gimmick. 3 quick questions. Will Outlaw be dethroned as QZW champ?
Yes.
Will Graham actually win the Ground Zero Rumble this time instead of coming in second?
I'm gonna have to go with no.
And what kind of cheese goes best with grilled ham?
American.
Of course. Okay, I have no more questions.
All right, and I haven't refreshed in a while, so no one added anything after you, right?
I'm refreshing now,
All
and
right.
no.
Okay. I guess you got other things you got to take care of, so I guess that will be the end of this podcast. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything that we might have missed that you want to bring to everyone's attention? Anything else?
No, I think I kind of plugged the thing in Tampa at the beginning of the show, and I might as well plug it at the end of the show. I'm doing if anyone and then Zombspawns around anywhere in the state of Florida. Come to Tampa on Saturday. I'll be performing live in Ybor City.
There you go. And if they want information on that, what website or?
I promo it on. I got it on my Facebook, which is facebook.com/synth solution music. I'll put it in the chat just so people can read it better.
Alrighty. All right, and while Mike Metal is on his way out, I will go ahead and answer the 3 questions that Joey Hallmark left for me. Has the dude been wanting to get back in the ring, and if so, what kind of match would he like? The dude is just happy and chill to just be the dude and call the shots from ringside and do his thing. He's never really had any intention of actually entering the ring. He did once, but that was because Rogan Reed made it personal and tried to take his job as head commentator of NGPW back in 2005/2006. That was the only time the dude actually stepped into the ring, and he actually retired the head shop, which was known as Rogan Reed and John Cena. And he's good with just being the dude at ringside, my friends. Who would he face? Now, okay, so you're asking if the dude actually wanted to face somebody. I would have to go with commentator Steve. I would say if the dude would want to face anybody out of QZW or RCWF history, it'd have to be Commentator Steve, because he gets annoyed at how Commentator Steve is always talking about how much magic he has. The dude doesn't think he has any magic at all. Is that enough to get him in the ring to fight him one-on-one? I don't know. Would he tag with anyone? Same question, same answer as before. Yeah, he would tag with Commentator Steve. Interesting questions for the dude, head commentator QZW. So there you go. All right, well that'll do it for. Oh wait. We got the QZW report. All right, Gil, you're up. How about that pay-per-view last week? I almost forgot.
Yes, it certainly was something, and I totally have the thing rep right here. Where is it again? First off,
Now, first off, let's rank this from Kiro Star to Martin Star. The pops in the chat. Kiro Star being the lowest, the dimly lit star, to Martin Star being the brightest star in the galaxy. How would you rate the pops in the chat for this event?
Well, Martin Star, depending, on average, I say 4 stars, because there was a, yeah, 4 stars. I'll say. I was thinking about it, 4 stars, because outside of the big pop, which probably got double Martin stars, there was a lot of disappointment in this pay-per-view.
There's a lot of title retains.
Lot. Yes, and the only one that didn't retain was probably disappointing as well. I mean, well, at least especially for me, because my rookie lost her title, so. But yeah, of course, the Swerve definitely got a pop of shock, and then we had, of course, the big one, that we'll talk about soon. Well, the Joey Hallmark.
Indeed.
Okay, first off, the dark match. We had Blood Rose over Mistress Kyo in a very nice match, 3 stars. It's nice to see tag partners that can get along well enough that they can fight each other and not have it basically fall apart on them. Then we had Kenji versus Curtis Rivers, Johnny Rago, and Jay Wilson, which was 2.5. It was a dark match featuring people we don't see a lot. Jay Wilson is back. Although I did like Mike Burke in the chat screaming, "Yo, they're stealing our talent." I was like, but no one watches your show.
Did you know he left me a tweet on Zombchicken that said something about QZW is going to die in 2 weeks? Did you not see
No,
it?
I didn't.
Yeah, shortly after that he left Mr. Cluckles a tweet on Twitter saying that QZW was going to die in 2 weeks. So I wonder what's going to happen in 2 weeks.
Oh well, it'd be 1 week now.
Yeah.
Then we had the Gazdan over Caitlyn. This was a table match. It was okay. It's a table match.
What? Okay for a top rope elbow?
Yeah, but she didn't float in the air.
Yeah.
That was the best part of table matches, when they float in the air for no explained reason. Actually, it's hard to rate some of the earlier matches because once we hit Jack Johnson versus Razor versus Crow and things, it all sort of becomes like, oh man, we've hit the serious part of the show, and the rest is just there to build it up. Like I forgot Showtime Brooks versus Green Boy was the first blood match until I really rewatched it. It's probably better than it's going to get rated, but only because all the other stuff, all the big stuff happened in the end that really makes the other ones not as memorable, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Also, yeah, actually there were a lot of good misses. Like, it was very tense, I will say that for the match. Next up was Jessica Havoc versus Yamashita Maharu. I don't think Maharu ever really got out of the blocks of this match. Havoc she never seemed totally out of control in this match. I did find this to be an upset of sorts, because you don't usually see Miharu on the back trying to come back from stuff. So it could be a long reign for Havoc. I don't know if Miharu has a rematch clause, or if Dawn or Julie or Caitlyn are just like chomping at the bit. So yeah, 2 stars here. Green Void over Showtime's Brooks. I don't remember much of this match. Apparently, this had a flat finish where Green Void won with the back elbow.
Yeah.
Because Green Void seems to just love First Blood matches because he finds new and inventive ways to get out of them. So 3 stars. The Knight versus Martin Starr. I really don't want to rate this match because it's very depressing. How much is that for now, Martin Starr? 15? Not even a joke. I really think it's 15 at this point.
Do you blame the Knight or do you blame Martin Starr?
I don't know, really, because it was a submission match, so it's not like, oh, he's going for some version of the move but not going, because he locked him in the. I guess if I had to blame someone, it would be the Knight for going for a pansy submission. I think he won with a bow and arrow, and not one of his many. It just seemed like I really just wish Knight got away from that belt. Then we had Chaos over William James in a matchup where I was absolutely 100% sure James was going to win up until the 3 count where Chaos won. So I was like, oh, Chaos won out of nowhere. So I guess, that's pretty good in its own right. 3.5 stars for just the wow factor. Then Jack Johnson versus Crow. I really don't want to rate this match. I'll give it 1.5 stars because fuck you, far beyond better. This is what you were doing instead of facing us. Or facing the Reich and, proving that you can beat the Reich on your own. This ticks me off. In case you don't know, Far Beyond Better, the champs, showed up to cause Jack Johnson to get disqualified via belt shot because Razor Sharp had been in control all along, so now, yeah. I really hope Buzz got the info I sent him so he beats you up tonight. Trust me, it would make a lot of sense because, Buzz, spoiler, Buzz doesn't have the belt, but he has another shot at it. And he already has one member of Far Beyond Better in that match he's going to have. And now he has a reason to beat up the other 2. I guess he might also go after Zack Hero if he feels like it. He is a monster.
That reaction, though.
Oh, yes, it was definitely a swerve. Razor Sharp elevated to new Russo heights. Then we got... I'm going to say this is partially my match of the night. I have 2 matches of the night. I think this one qualifies. If only because I have a caveat for the other match of the night, which we'll get to later. This is the Insane Pain Train over Troop and Norns for the KW Championships. And it was a great match. I wish it could have gone a little bit longer, but I definitely agree when the dude said it feels right seeing Pain Insane with QZW titles on their waist. And they've earned it. They worked hard to win these titles, and it really means something. This victory meant something. It felt like these champions mean something. And, sometimes it doesn't feel like that when you win a belt, but these 2 really deserved it. Like I said, match of the night, 4 stars. I really like this match. I just wish it went a little bit longer. Then we have Chris Jones versus Sean Broderick. Again, a matchup where I thought, oh, Sean's definitely going to win. And then Chris Jones hits his elbow. Chris Jones, you're a dick.
Man, that match was so close, though. Oh, my God, that was so close. That was probably the best match I've ever seen the Sean Broderick character ever in before in my life. Though, seriously.
You see, it seems like Sean Broderick does well against people that do not have a high standing in QZW. Because I remember his other great match was against, I think it was Kiero Star, back in the Loser Leaves This show. And then he had this, triple threat match. I think it had Raji and someone else. And the show didn't have a great reputation. Raji didn't have a great reputation. And I think it was Jack Johnson at the time. It was basically a triple threat, and no one could win because everyone else had their super long finishers in the corner that kept getting broken up. And then Sean lost and had to be pink. It was like the dude was like, yeah, this match is over. Wait, quit. Shit. Sean Broderick lost. Oh well.
That was probably the best match I've ever seen Sean Broderick in, though. And what made it even better was that it was a singles match. You could tell that
Yeah,
the Caw was just fighting so hard to win. The Caw was just fighting so hard in its little programming in the video game to win. You could tell it. And if you didn't tell it, go back and rewatch it again. You'll see it. Oh my god. But
I would say this is also worth 4 stars, but yeah, I just said the last match and the other match was it just slightly was for me personally. I enjoyed those a little bit more. Then we had Sean Libby defeated Leo Reigns. I absolutely don't have a single clue what happened in this match. I don't remember it at all. Uh, what did Sean Libby win with?
if I am not mistaken, I think he tried to go for the abdominal stretch cheat win, but Leo Reigns got out of it, and then he got caught up with the fella crossing, and I think he lost. If I remember correctly, I think the match ended a lot sooner than it should have. I think it was a really short match.
It was definitely an uninspiring match. Leo Reigns is apparently not going to quit with the European Championship, but I believe both people deserve better. But that's me. 2.5 stars.
I
I'm
think
not going to
I
rate
think
Gremlin.
I think at Ground Zero we just need to stop beating around the bush and just have Sean Libby versus the Knight for title for title. It would be cross
And we'll
brand,
have
but
well, you could also add, Chris Jones, aka the new Archangel.
yeah. So one person would have 3 belts.
Eventually, I think they would lose. The next matchup is Graham versus Josh D, which I'm not going to rate because the match is meaningless. Is absolutely meaningless.
Why?
Josh D could have farted on Graham and got the 3, and it would have still made no matter because of what happened afterwards, which is, of course, the return of Joey Hallmark. Pop of the night. Everyone loves him. And savior of QZW, as some said. So, I mean, there's no real reason to. Graham basically destroyed Josh D anyway, so it's like, congratulations, Josh D.
Yeah,
You got
but
beat down.
yeah, but Josh's argument would be that it wasn't the match that he wanted.
That is true because it it might as well have been a Graham wins match. He hits his finisher and wins.
But Josh D
I,
wanted like he wanted something. It was like it's supposed to be like a no DQ match or something, but it was actually a first blood match.
oh, it was a first blood match. Okay.
Yeah, but he wanted a different stipulation, so the stipulation was wrong.
I can also see how he wasn't expecting a first blood match, seeing as there was already one on the card. So you would think that Graham would not pick something that there's already been a match on the card. So, yeah, again, another reason to not really rate this match because it just seemed like the match was meaningless. It didn't really prove anything. There was just so many factors that made this match unrateable, but it's definitely memorable. Then we have. I was originally going to name this the match of the night. It's Domino, Crusher, Chaos, Cool, Rogue, and Big D. And I was thinking to myself, this was the match of the night. 6 people went out there and had a great match. And then I thought about it, and then we were like, no, that's not true. Domino and Big D went out there and had a match of the night that happened to involve 4 other people. You had Big D throwing Crusher around like he was, Jello, and basically dominating him and Eddie Cole. And then Domino kicked in and was like, oh, time to make everyone tap out. He taps out Rogue, Chaos, and Big D and like that. And it was just like, oh yeah, Domino's back. So it was like Domino and Big D went out there and had a 4-5 star match. And it just, there was 4 other people there as props. Even though these 4 people could regularly be called legends of QZW.
And
If that makes any sense.
And the thing is that you couldn't separate Chaos and Rogue's AI, and I thought that was the most spectacular thing out of them. That and the fact that Big D's AI actually did the catching finisher on the Crusher like 3 times in the match. But even more amazing than that is that the AI actually cooperated with the storylines that's actually going down, and the game has no idea what it's doing, but yet it went that way anyways. And that's, again, another reason for hashtag the game knows, was because John Chaos and Rogue were pretty much inseparable that entire match, just beating the holy hell out of each other. And the game has no idea that they're actually feuding in our eFed like that, but yet it went that route anyways, and I think that was pretty awesome. But yeah,
they totally beat each other.
where the hell is Domino's? Where's Domino been? that Domino, where's he been this whole time?
I like to think that it was like two eliminations in. The Crusher and Eddie Cool got eliminated. I believe they were both. I believe Chaos eliminated Cool, and Big D eliminated Crusher. And Domino just took a looked at the other three people fighting, and thought, "What the hell? I should be killing everyone. Why haven't I not killed everyone yet?" And decided to just go kill mode with BBODs everywhere. It was like, I'm better than this. Because he used to be the QCW and the RCWF champion, and he used to be unstoppable until this young green-haired kid beat him, and then the whole thing with QCW happened. So I think Domino just took a look as like, I'm supposed to be the franchise of the corporation, the figurehead, and it is like, I think he felt insulted that he had to be in this match and not just getting another title shot.
Well, I mean, Grant. To be fair, the last time he did have a title shot, he lost, and he lost pretty handsomely at that. But do you think that this showing is enough to once again give him another shot at Ground Zero 1-on-1?
I don't know who else would be applicable at this point. I mean, this was basically the heavyweight division, and you just tapped out 3 out of 5,
I mean,
including the champion.
I guess Grimm would have an argument. He did beat Josh D, even though it was the wrong stipulation that it was supposed to be, and I think he's currently undefeated right now, if I'm not mistaken.
But I think Graham wouldn't want the title shot now, because Graham wants to prove that he can win the Rumble.
Right. That's the next thing I was going to say. He's all over the billboard for Ground Zero. So, everyone's it's kind of like the WWE Rumble this year. Everyone was banking on Roman Reigns or Daniel Bryan. Now it's kind of like Grimm is like the Roman Reigns in the Daniel Bryan for us this year. Everyone's kind of banking on him winning it. So yeah, maybe not this time would not probably be a good time to step in. But yeah, you could probably maybe even also have an argument from Razor Sharp or Josh D. But when it comes to those two, I think that they've got kind of stuff on their platter right now in the road ahead. They've kind of got obstacles on their road before they get to that. Obviously Razor Sharp, with what he did to Jack Johnson, I doubt Jack Johnson is just going to roll over like a little dog and shake his tail at what happened. He's not. I don't think he's going to just let that go. And then, of course, with the Josh D thing, you would think that he's probably going to be a little pissed off at Joey Hallmark for making him look like a jobber at on the pay-per-view by just shit canning him out of the ring like that. I mean,
I have a question. Did Donald Payne do well in the Nowhere to Hide match where his face was all over it?
To be honest with you, I don't remember.
Oh, well, then never mind. Main event time. Outlaw versus Buzz. Buzz, you're an idiot sometimes. You know that? Mister, I will make Outlaw tap out. No. Pin him, you idiot! Well, no, wait. Too late. You're being Outlaw bombed and counted out. Great.
And he was actually advertised on the billboard. He was the only person advertised on the billboard. And yet I hope it's not like the Madden curse. Sorry, Grim.
But plain and simple, Buzz choked. I don't know if he was concerned about Jack Johnson or just drunk from celebrating with Insane Pain Train, but you choked. I don't like Outlaw. I don't like Outlaw in the slightest bit because of the Shadow People and the fact that he's with the bank, if even that's still a thing, which reminds me of Doug Bevers, which reminds me of all that shit.
And here's the thing. Justin Rom is the Livewire GM, and Justin Rom is good friends with Outlaw.
He is?
Yeah, RCWF. Team RCWF.
Then why did he put him in a 6-man match?
I think that might have went over Rom's head.
Yeah, wait, the boss is actually taking control again?
I don't know. Hashtag spoilers.
Well, we'll see. Maybe Jarek Vanders, there's... Well, would you like to talk about that match?
Yeah.
Okay, it's
Sure.
Outlaw, Buzz, Showtime, Green Void, Jarek Vanders, and someone else I don't care about. It's not a face because the only pure face in the match is Jarek Vanders at the moment.
Now, you're actually very quick to totally um, negate the fact that Brooks is not a face. Now, okay, before you say anything, yeah, he's far beyond better. But how many actual segments have you seen him in with Crimson, Richards, and Hero? He may wear the colors and he may wear the logo, but that does that necessarily give him the same attitude as the rest of them? He seems to be getting, despite being part of the group, he seems to be getting quite the face reaction anytime he shows up.
So judging by the last time I heard his words, he doesn't really reciprocate that. I think he has a promo on the forums like he's Hollywood,
Well,
but
that
maybe that'll play in.
Well, maybe so, but I mean, I'm just going by what the QZW universe does anytime he shows up on the stage. Maybe he's, he'll Hollywood rock, but yet the people still cheer for him just because he's Brooks and he's got the juice.
I find it funny that you didn't even correct me on the last person. I just said it was someone I don't care about. I don't even know who the sixth person is.
Did you say
I think it's
Raji?
Raji. No, it's probably Raji.
Yeah, Raji's in the
Still
match,
don't care
so.
about him. Um, yes.
Wait. Why would you say that? Because you didn't recognize him on the picture?
No, I just forgot he was in the division.
Oh.
I'm not looking at the actual card at the moment.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so let's see. Bro, uh, actually, let's talk about that whole far beyond better disconnect. Do you think that might come into play, or do you think that he'll be able to like, no, I am far beyond better, but I've got to focus on this big match because there is no chance that he's going to get help in this match. In a six-man match, far beyond better, even with their amount of numbers, they're going to get pretty swallowed up, especially since all these guys have friends of their own. So,
Well, thing is, I'll just go back to what I said before. We've had plenty of CASs. When's the last time you saw Brooks hanging out with the rest of them? It's always been Crimson and Richards doing all the dirty deeds, done dirt cheap, and then Zach Hero focusing on the night, and then Razor Sharp obviously on the brand. You've never seen Brooks be like the cohort or the leader or this or that. Now, I'm not obviously implying anything about hashtag spoilers at all. I'm just saying that's just from the outlook, and I could be totally proven wrong tomorrow night, and Brooks come out and just totally cut a Hollywood Hogan promo with them in the ring, and I'll have pie in my face. But I'm just saying from what it looks like right now, he could be
well,
another face going into this match. You never know.
no. If you asked me who I thought the leader of Far Beyond Better should be, I would probably say Crimson or Brooks before I say Sharp. But that's personal. Now, of course, momentum is key here in RCW or QZW. Brooks did just lose a first blood match, so I'll have to wonder if he's going to try to take out Green Void at all costs. And Jarek, did he win the last match with Raji? I can't remember.
I think it was a cage match, and I think Raji won.
Okay, so that means Raji, Green Void, and Outlaw, three people that are definitely not good guys, have the advantage. I mean, you could say the same thing for Buzz. Buzz should probably be recognized as a face. It's just that, he's got this personality problem, as I like to call it, of I must destroy you. So, like I said, if you had a sliding scale of heel to face, Jarek would be on the right side, and probably Showtime Brooks would be right after it. And on the other end, who would you say is more evil, Green Void or Outlaw?
I would say Green Void is probably the biggest heel out of the entire match, just because he's Green Void. Outlaw's just there because he's a grizzled veteran. He's part of the RCWF entourage. Now his homie is the GM, Justin Rom. Now he's riding high. He's been the champion, and he's just here to smack these noobs around. He's just doing what he's always done. And people don't seem to like that because they like the new era. They want the new people, the fresh faces to prosper. And he came back and he's feeling froggy and he realized, hey, maybe it's not time for me to hang up the boots and retire just yet. So he's out there doing what he's always done for all the years that he's done it. I think that's just a
If there's
personal.
one if there's one big advantage Outlaw has, is that he doesn't have any personal scores to settle in this match. And I think, he won't be distracted by, oh, I have to get this guy for X, Y, and Z. He was like, I'm the champion. All I have to do is defend the belt.
Well, look how
I
casually
think
that
that might.
he. Remember that promo that he had with Buzz, and remember just how casually that he was like, "Oh, you wanna face me for the belt at Doomsday? Okay, put it on the line. Sure." He just did it with like a snap of the finger. He didn't like take his time or try to squirm out of it. He's like, okay, whatever. Outlaw's just here to.
He's very comfortable as a champion,
He
and
is.
that goes into my thing. Like, he's not here to make feuds. He's here to fight, and that could be one of his biggest strengths. As we obviously discovered that he's not here to prove a point like Buzz is. He's here to do what he says he's going to do, and that's be the champion.
I'm just going
And
to be honest
that's
with you,
something.
though. I'm seriously just going to be honest with you for a second, though. And I'm going to tell you right now the person to watch in that match is going to be Raji. No doubt about it.
Do you think people underestimate Raji?
Yes. Especially this season.
Well, I will say that, because every time I think of Raji, I can't always think sort of the jokes, sort of like what Duke Dice is for a little bit as well. Because a lot of people have a joke about Duke Dice, but then you take a step back. Yeah, oh yeah, he's also the biohazard champion of a division that contains Butcher Pete. I might add. So I think there may be a lot of people that don't get the respect they deserve, and Raji would definitely fall into that category.
I'm just saying right now, if there's one person to keep your eye out for in that match, it's going to be Raji. I'm just calling it. I could be wrong, but that's what I think is going to go down. Do I think Raji's
Okay,
going to win it? I think Raji probably has the best chance of winning the match. Yes.
well, that should do it for today.
All right. Well, that'll do it for podcast number 10. I know tonight is supposed to be Legend of Zelda coming up next for stream number 2. It may or may not happen, as unfortunate as that is. I'm going to take a little break after the podcast is over, see how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling good and up for it, then I will do it. If I'm not, I'm going to save my energy and put it into QZW tomorrow. I'm sure people will understand either way. But one thing is for sure, that concludes our podcast for this week. Next week, we will have Spence on. Next Monday will be Spence to talk about all the Spencey stuff that you want to talk about. We'll have the question thread up in the forums in the next couple of days, so check that out and ask your questions to Spence. And just a reminder, tomorrow night is QZW Wrestling Show. And on Wednesday will be the next game in the NCAA football schedule. We'll be taking out Oklahoma State. So, that being said, hope everyone enjoyed tonight's podcast with Mike Metal. Oh, and also to wrap up the rest of February, podcast number 11. Podcast number 11 will be J-Hair on the 16th, and podcast number 12 on the 23rd will be Domino. So we have Spence, J-Hair, and Domino coming up in that order on the podcast to round out February. So should be fun and lots of cool things to be had. But that'll do it for us tonight. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. And if we don't see you later tonight with some Zelda, we will see you tomorrow night for QZW Wrestling. Thank you everybody, and enjoy this new outro with a very special song in my heart after playing through Dying Light. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks everybody. See you soon. And thanks Gil and Mike Metal for being on this week's podcast.